All right, let's preview week 2. Friday night, we have Illinois at Kansas. Kansas, a 3-point favorite. Yeah, if you're, I don't know what to think about this game. Kind of a sneaky, decent game, but anyway. Yeah. Let's move on to Saturday. Vanderbilt is at Wake Forest. Wake Forest, a 10.5-point favorite here. Vanderbilt is disappointed a little bit, but that said, I think they're still pretty solid. Am I missing something? Why is Wake Forest favored by 10.5?
Don't have a good answer for you here. That does feel like free money. Vanderbilt covering the 10 points. It's on the road, I guess, is the only thought there. But Vanderbilt, I think, will be, the more physical football team. We're not sure what Wake is without Hartman yet. So yeah. I kind of agree with you. That one stuck out to me as well.
Yeah. Troy is at Kansas State. Kansas State, a 16.5-point favorite. I just mentioned this one because Troy is a pretty solid program. This could be sneaky upset watch, maybe. Notre Dame goes to NC State. Notre Dame favored by 7. Their first real test this year, I would say. NC State didn't look great in week 1, especially on offense. Their defense is still pretty solid. I think they have good corners. They got a good front. Kind of the typical NC State stuff that we all always know about. Vernon Armstrong remains to be seen how well he can play. He did okay, I guess, against UConn in week 1, but this is going to be different. I think we're going to know a lot more about Notre Dame's ceiling out of this game. We know Notre Dame's floor is higher than it was last year, thanks to Sam Hartman. We've seen that. I feel really good about their floor being higher. This might show us a little bit about what their ceiling can be. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, I think so. Notre Dame has been a cover machine, by the way. They have won and covered both of their games. Yeah, I was a little surprised at this number as well. It seemed a little low.
Yeah, I thought so too. And SP Plus has them favored by 2 touchdowns, but they're only a 1 touchdown favorite. So
right.
Utah goes to Baylor. Utah, a 7.5-point favorite. We mentioned Baylor earlier a little bit. They got some issues there right now. Utah coming off a big emotional win. We'll see what happens there, but it does feel like Utah should clearly be favored. Nebraska at Colorado. This is Colorado's second straight week on the noon game on Fox. Colorado now favored. Yesterday I saw 2.5. I don't know what it is now, but that line keeps moving.
3. I'm looking at 3. Yeah.
Okay. What do you expect? This is obviously a huge clash of styles.
I don't have any expectations like that. That's my whole thing with Colorado. I'm not expecting anything. I'm not going to bet anything on Colorado for at least a couple of more weeks until I get a better feel. Can Travis Hunter rebound and go to Colorado with all the extra elevation, which he has never played at yet? He's practiced, but he hasn't played an actual game yet. And after playing, was it like 120 snaps, whatever it was, a wild amount of snaps, is he going to be able to do that again? Can the whole team do that again? Do they have depth? I have so many questions. I have just a ton of questions. And I have a lot of questions about Nebraska too. So yeah, not betting on this one. I'll be watching. I will not be betting that game.
Yeah, I'm considering betting on it, actually. Okay. I'll get to that later when we talk about the locks. You can maybe talk me in or out of that one. But okay, another little matchup that is important for both of these programs. Purdue goes to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech favored by 3. I don't know there's a whole lot to say other than I think Virginia Tech really needs this game.
They kind of both do, right? Yeah, it's maybe 2 kind of mid teams. Yeah.
All right, a kind of a big name matchup. Texas A&M goes to Miami. A&M is a 4.5-point favorite. Obviously, we saw this game early last year, and both teams ended up being pretty terrible.
Right.
Any reason to believe it could be different this year?
I do. I think A&M's offense, though, just 1 week, only 1 week of sample size, much improved. They actually beat a bad team. Whereas last year, they lost. They lost to App State early on in the year last year. So it's kind of the same thing as what we talked about with Penn State. Beating a bad team is definitely better than not playing well against a bad team. So they did what they needed to do. It's reason for optimism for A&M. I'll just leave it at that.
Sure, I agree with that. Ole Miss is at Tulane. Ole Miss a 7-point favorite here. Tulane was really good in week 1. Obviously, they made the New Year's Six bowl game last year. This could be a fun offensive game, especially. Yeah. Any strong leanings from you?
I don't know if it's strong leanings. I will say, Tulane being a 7.5-point home dog is tasty. I mean, that
Yeah.
is, you will have to talk me out of that one, because that one there just stuck out like a sore thumb. At home, 7.5, like right over that number. Are you kidding? Like, yeah, and yeah, quarterback looked good. I think it will be a fun game to watch. Both quarterbacks have looked good in week one. Ole Miss actually looked excellent as well. So yeah, fun matchup. You're right.
All right, a less fun matchup, but a huge rivalry. Iowa is at Iowa State. Iowa
Yes.
favored by 3.5 points. Obviously, players from both schools were suspended this offseason for some illegal betting, or maybe not illegal, but not okay for them as far as NCAA laws go. Do we know exactly what to expect? Like,
No.
it's going to be low scoring, and both teams are going to play decent defense, and we don't know who's going to win, maybe, but isn't that kind of, we sort of know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, no, I actually do agree with that. Like, it feels like, okay, I was going to win this game 17-14. Like
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. And yeah, you won't really be able to convince me otherwise. I see Iowa firmly getting out of here with. Iowa does have a good record against Iowa State. They do. Like, they've really owned that matchup in recent years. I mean, the over under for this game is 36.5. Like, I mean, the first team to 20. If you get to 20, I mean, yeah, they just call the game off. Like, I don't think the other team can score 20. So, yeah, I kind of just leave it at that. It'll be entertaining. Like, Iowa is must watch football this year. Like it or not, that you do need to watch. At least those of us that are into, that kind of thing anyway. I guess casual fans probably not so much. It's probably not must watch for them. But for those of us that really love the sport and follow it year round, yeah, like putting out language in a contract of your coach's son, who also happens to be your offensive coordinator, that he must score 25 points a game with help from the defense and special teams, but we must get at 25 points a game or else he will be fired. Yeah, like, that's entertainment. That is absolute entertainment. That's a soap opera right there. So yeah, you really do need to watch this football game.
Right. Okay, kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum as far as offense and defense goes. We have App State at North Carolina. Last year, this game was bananas. We had like one school scoring 40 points in the fourth quarter, and it was just nuts. North Carolina favored by 18.5. Probably not going to be as exciting as last year, but I kind of threw this on here just because we saw what happened last year, and who knows, it could get crazy. It's happened before. SMU at Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by 16.5. They looked really good in week one. They were playing kind of nobody, but they crushed Arkansas State, I believe. They scored like 73 points.
Yeah.
By the way, Jackson Arnold, their true freshman 5-star quarterback, looked pretty good in relief of Dylan Gabriel. Put a pin in that for down the stretch of the season. SMU also is pretty good. We know they're going to the ACC next year, and kind of a solid program, honestly. So this could be a fun, exciting game. Oklahoma's probably the better program here, but we'll see. Cincinnati at Pitt. Pitt favored by 7. I have no idea what to expect in this game.
Next game. No clue.
Oregon is at Texas Tech. Oregon favored by 6.5. Texas Tech coming off a disappointing upset. Oregon pantsed Portland State in week one. Their offense was rolling. Looks like you have something you want to say about this game.
How is this line 6.5? Okay, Oregon scored 81 points. I don't care if it was against a high school team. 81's hard to do with the new clock rules. Are you kidding me? That's very difficult to do, even with the old clock rules and you had more time. Texas Tech lost at Wyoming. I know the game's in Lubbock. Oregon's not. I mean, it's far from Lubbock, I guess, but like we're not talking like 6.5. These teams could not have looked differently. They could not have looked differently week one.
Yeah.
We get Bo Nix and a veteran offense that is humming right now. Like, what am I missing here? Please tell me.
It's at Texas Tech, which is kind of weird sometimes. It's scary. Like, you would almost feel more comfortable taking Oregon if it was 9.5 instead of 6.5. Like, that would make more sense.
If Oregon was favored by 13, I would be like, yes, right under that 2-touchdown mark. Give me Oregon to cover all day long. The number 6.5. And like, it's almost too easy. Like, I'm almost scared of that number. It's like, ooh, I don't know. That's a lot.
Yeah. All right. Texas is at Alabama. This is the big game of the weekend. This is the one we've been waiting for. Bama favored by a touchdown. Is this the game where it happens, where Texas is finally back with a capital B? Like we know they've got a very talented team. Last year they kind of played with their food, beating Rice, not all that impressively.
Sure.
Alabama, on the other hand, looked pretty good last week. You could argue Texas was just preparing strictly for Alabama the last 6 months and nothing else. Do you have an expectation on this game?
No, I don't. I think it could. I would not be surprised if Texas goes and wins in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah,
like we saw the teams play last year. I think that's a possibility. I will say the winner of this game is going to be. I mean, you're not putting them in the playoff because that's not fair. But they would definitely be. I mean, yeah, like until proven otherwise, they're going to be projected as a playoff team. Like the winner of this, and everyone has their little, current playoff projections that they do every week. Their top four. Everyone's got a top four that they put out. The winner of this will be. I mean, yeah, they're going to be a staple in everyone's. Like it's going to be. You're going to mention Georgia, and you're probably going to mention the winner of this game. Yeah, it's a huge football game. Like the magnitude I don't think is quite understood about like how big this game is. By the way, for both coaches too, there's a lot riding on this for both guys, for both quarterbacks. For both quarterbacks, this game matters a lot. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I like there's a lot on the line. The loser of this game is absolutely going to be put out to pasture. Like everyone's just going to absolutely write them off, maybe a little too early. But the winner is going to have everything laid out all in front of them. And the loser will be, pretty much just put on the shelf for the rest of the year.
Let me throw a hot take at you that I'm not sure I totally believe myself, but I want to throw it at you and get your feedback on it.
Okay.
Here's how it goes. Alabama is significantly more talented than every team in the country except Georgia and Ohio State. And of those three teams, Alabama has the best offensive line, the best quarterback, the best running back room, and the best defense. Alabama is the best team in the country. Now that's a hot take. Tell me, what's your feedback?
I believe you a lot more now than I did a week ago. Like if that helps at all, like, I could kind of get on board. I mean, imagine that the most talented roster that we've ever seen compiled from a recruiting ranking standpoint has really good players on it. Like imagine that. Like, isn't that just wild? And that the greatest coach of all time who put together all those recruiting classes and has won all these national championships is actually pretty good at developing players. Like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that big of a stretch. If Alabama comes out and wins by 3 scores, not that everything that Georgia has done over the last 2 years to try to put themselves ahead of Alabama will just be instantly washed away, but there will be doubt. There will be doubt that Georgia is still on top of college football if Bama comes out and rolls over Texas. I'm not going to completely agree with you, but I'll just say this. I'm way closer to agreeing with you than I was a week ago.
That's pretty much exactly how I feel. I'm not sure I agree with everything I just said there myself, but I'm closer to feeling that way than I did before.
Yeah.
Notice I didn't say anything about the receivers.
Leave that off. Yeah.
If this game is played in the 40s, I think Texas probably is the team that wins it. If it's in the 30s, it may be a toss-up. If it's anything below that, I think it's because Bama's defense came to play, and I think that Jalen Milroe and that running game, they will score 30. I think they're going to get to 30. I don't know if they can get to 45, but very exciting game. Can't wait to watch it. Wisconsin is at Washington State, kind of a sneaky little matchup. Wisconsin favored by 6.5. Washington State actually looked pretty good in week 1. Cam Ward looked better than last year, and Wisconsin looked okay, good running game, but not all that good of a passing game. Underperformed versus the spread a little bit. I don't know. Like, I assume you think Wisconsin probably wins this, but is there any upset potential here in your mind?
There's definitely upset potential going on the road, cross country. Pac-12 teams faring really well this year in non-con. I have no that would not be a surprise at all to see that happen. I do think Wisconsin's the better team and probably will win though.
Yeah. Washington State's not fun to travel to. It's just in the middle of, it's really hard to get there. Kind of in the middle of nowhere. And yeah. Arizona at Mississippi State, another kind of interesting matchup. Mississippi State favored by 9.5. Probably clearly more talented, definitely older. One of the oldest rosters in the country, if not the oldest. And Arizona, we're not sure. I still don't quite know what to expect from them this season. I think this is not a game I would put any money on myself. I just think, like, if you need something to do late Saturday night, this could be a little interesting.
I have agreement. I think Arizona's a little underrated. I think Mississippi State's really good too. Really good's not the correct word. Really veteran, if that makes sense. I think Mississippi State, they're a sleeper, and they kind of always are. Like, Mississippi State is always that team that could sneak up and get you. I think it'll be entertaining. I think it'll be a close game. So yeah, it's definitely a good watch, like a good background game. Like, you've got the Bama Texas game on at 7. This game comes on at 7:30. Background game. Catch it during commercials.
Right. Stanford is at USC. USC, a 29.5-point favorite. Stanford looked okay in week 1, beat Hawaii after a lot of people thought that was an upset potential game. USC is clearly better than Stanford, but we've seen Stanford inexplicably beat them before. I don't think it happens, but is there any chance this game is tight for a while?
No, surely not. I don't think so. No, yeah, this is a blowout.
Yeah. All right. Auburn is at Cal.
Yes.
Cal was pretty impressive in week 1, kind of stomping North Texas.
Yes.
Auburn favored by 6.5. This is a stay away for me, but what do you think about this game?
Yeah, hands off. But I mean, that Auburn 6.5 number is tempting. Like, I'm staying away because I'm a disciplined bettor. I am a disciplined bettor. We established this last week, but man, that is enticing. That 6.5 for Auburn. Cal maybe overperformed a little bit week 1, or maybe they're just good. We're not sure yet, but I feel pretty good about Auburn. So I would be an Auburn lean in this one, but no, I'm a principled man, staying away.
All right, one more game. 2 teams that were less than impressive in week 1. Oklahoma State at Arizona State.
Yes.
Oklahoma State favored by 3.5. To me, this is not the type of game I really care to watch as much as maybe check. I want to check to see what happened after this game happens and maybe watch some highlights of it, just because I don't know that I have a strong feel on either one of these teams, and I'm very curious to see who steps up.
Yeah, fair.